Yeah, this is bad. This is beyond bad. You know, started off looking great. You know, it was great to see Lake back. It was a blessing, right? You saw how the offense opened up having him back. We're able to get him the balls, help him with the blocking. Receivers seemed locked in. Miller was wavering. You know, he looked a little iffy early in the game, then kind of locked in, and at the end of the game, let a couple go. Dropped some passes late. Pass protection was all over the place. Couldn't really run the ball like we've seen him run the ball for most of the season. And yeah, man, this is bad. I made a video that I thought Lincoln Riley was a guy for the job. I'm right now. I'm not saying fire Lincoln Riley, but we do have a lot of issues that we got to work out. 100%. Can't deny it. Like, we got to get the offense right. This is bad.
I think Gabe came out with a really good video if you watch it over at Trojan Blade, just talking about the quality of talent on the team. And listen, this is a team loss, and Lincoln Riley is going to have a lot of answers for what's going on in that offense. I kind of made a bad pun earlier saying that when they went to a game and they were tied and they were down, they couldn't turtle up their offense. And really, if you want to look at the end of the game, USC just was not able to match Maryland offensively. Who thought that at the beginning of the season that was going to happen? Okay. But allowing Maryland to take over the second half of this game, come back from a 14-point deficit at half. Does it sound familiar, Trojan fans? And run out of gas down the stretch. It's what we're starting to see now. We're starting to see USC and the depth issues I thought we'd have. I thought we'd have these depth issues in November. These depth issues started showing up in game 4 and 5. And so USC is in for a hell of a week. Get ready for the press conference. Get ready for these phone calls, which we do have now open. Phone lines are open. No, actually, hold off a second. We're going to talk for a little bit longer here, but then we're going to take the phone calls. It's going to be a long night, I'm sure. A long day, long night for the guys out there in Landover, Maryland. But we are going to have to talk about this. It looks like the offensive line on that last drive, Preston. I'm going to go back and watch it. But Miller didn't have any time to throw the ball. When Miller did have time to throw the ball, it looks like he was off. And when the ball was hitting receivers in the hands, they were dropping the ball. Yeah. That is not a recipe for winning.
Absolutely not. Everybody played their part. And it's crazy, right? Because I was taking notes and I was like, wow, the receivers, everybody really stepped up. Everybody had their moment today. It looked great early on in the game. And as things went on, we really wavered. Some of those passes, particularly to Deuce, man, like, you got to get it up. This guy's 6'6". You got to put it where he can only catch the football. I mean, Deuce had a good game, but some of those throws, I think, could have been a lot better. Just all over the place. I mean, it's just a bad loss as a complete team, and should have won this game. There's no reason why we should be losing to Maryland right now. And but it happened. So the floodgates are open. People are going to be emotional about what just went down, and we got to talk about it. Got to talk about it.
Yep, there are issues with the coaching. There are absolutely issues with the roster. USC is now 3-4 on the season, 4 losses. And the key here is, if we're talking about losses, if at the beginning of the season I say, hey, USC goes 8-4, with losses to LSU, Penn State, Michigan, and Notre Dame, nobody bats an eyelash. Okay. No. But what if I tell you they have 4 losses after the 7th game of the season, and 2 of the losses are to Minnesota, and the other win is the losses to Maryland? USC is now they have not won a single road Big Ten game, as a matter of fact, you guys.
And we haven't won a road game since October 28th of last year against Cal. That 3 overtime game. That's another thing I was running in when I was making my other video. Like, this Lincoln Riley team, like, his teams, like, on the road just are different teams. And, like, we haven't really talked about the travel. I don't know if you feel a way about the travel. He said they were going to leave a little later for this particular trip.
This one, yeah.
It seemed like they left a little earlier, though, in terms of, like, what I saw. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. This team on the road, the Lincoln Riley teams on the road have not – something's going on with what it is. I don't know what it is, but
all right,
got to figure it out.
And so we're going to get to people. We are going to open up for phone calls right now. So USC falls to the Maryland Terrapins. This is becoming a pattern with this team. 29-28 in another game. It's almost a carbon copy, you guys. The only game really, the Michigan game, the defense held and they came back. They figured out but now it seems like, remember, against Michigan, USC was a healthy team. They had their entire defense. There is no Anthony Lucas. There is no Jacoby Covington. There is no Bear Alexander in this game. You have guys playing injured, and it's showing the lack of depth. When you looked at the guys across the line, and you're seeing guys that we don't see all year long, they're now ending up in fourth quarters in vital situations, there's trouble. And a different story if they're coming in and they're making plays. But late in the game, offensive line is falling back to their old tendencies. There were a number of missed tackles. People were talking about missed tackles. I was getting a lot of DMs. There were a lot of missed tackles late in this game. Those are tired players and guys coming in that are not our starters. And that's really how it's going down. So we're going to start taking calls. And I will be honest with you. I really, at this point, am at a loss for words because it's really difficult to see a lot of positives coming off of a game like this where USC had the game, you're up 14 points at halftime, and you find a way again to lose this game. So we have a situation where there's something broken at USC. There's clearly issues with the play late in games. There's clearly issues about the team, like Preston just said, something with Riley and playing on the road. He can't get it together with that. So there's some issues there to be addressed. And there's a roster issue. And if you guys listen, we really need to figure out what the recruiting situation is at USC, what the NIL situation is, because this roster is getting exposed late in games.
Hey, it's Kevin Vegas. How you guys handling this? It's pretty disappointing.
I'm very pissed off.
Man.
All right. So good coaches don't lose games when you're up by double digits. Maybe once in a while. This is 2 in a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the cornerback, we get that pass interference. He's like 10 yards behind. What do they think that they're doing for that PI? Like, what's going on? This is 2 weeks in a row. We have one offensive threat against us, and we can't shut it down. I don't understand what is going on defensively. Young guys on the line, we can't get no heat. I understand all of that.
Yeah.
But everybody makes excuses. Miller Moss, great locker room guy, gets the team going, underthrowing balls left and right when people are open and missing throws left and right. We lose to Maryland? Come on, in Minnesota? It's a Lincoln Riley problem, I think, is what this is.
So what do they got to do?
Doesn't want
what does USC need to do?
You need a hard. USC wins with defense, and we can run the ball. That's when USC has won historically over the years. And we can't. We can run the ball a little bit, then we go away from it. It just drives me. It's absolutely crazy what is going on with this program. Might as well bring Clay Helton back. At least we could win a couple games. We're losing the teams that we have no business. We should have blown them out. Right, up by 14. Terrible pick. Get them back in. My liver can't handle much more of this.
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep on drinking these losses away.
It just seems like Miller has one of those in him in each game, and it's amplified in games like this, in these close games where there's where USC is going back and forth. Preston just seems like now when you're throwing the ball a bunch of times, but it's like again look at the target was to Branch off his back foot, and it's almost like he wants to this thing he does with these throwing the ball up to Branch. That's not the guy. There are 3 other guys that you can do that with. But that's probably not the target to do it. And
it's at the worst times too. The worst.
And one thing, he's been off. He was off. There were a number of times. Deuce had 2 steps. This again, and last week I said, he's having a bad game. Now Miller started to put together multiple bad games where it's not just the throws, it's also the play calling. So the decision making. And the decision making in this game was all right, except for that one. But I will tell you, he underthrew in the first half. There were at least 3 long plays there for Miller. If Miller puts it out there, lets her guy make a play, he underthrew every single one of them.
Everyone. And Jaden Mayav is going to pull the ball and run it too.
Yeah. Well, okay. So now we're back to let's just stick to this one. We'll talk about so you want Jaden Mayav, call for Jaden Mayav to come in, and Jaden Mayav is going to fix it. So because here's the issue. If we could say it was all Miller and Moss, that's an easy fix. We put the backup in. But this is what we've seen is a systemic issue with the whole team. There were drop balls. I mean, Woody, look, let's face it. Woody's a great receiving running back, but he had that ball and he was looking upfield and he dropped it. Miller had a number of misses when he threw the ball. You need to have a situation where you're playing tight on offense, especially as a game where you're in a dogfight at the end of the game. So, yeah. All right.
Don't you think Woody's made like some miraculous one-handed balls though, and he had one thrown at his feet that you know, like Miller's not as accurate as I think people think that he is.
Yeah, he's been catching a lot of those low passes out of the backfield all year.
And he shouldn't be though. You know what I mean?
Crazy one-handed.
Yeah, there's been a lot of those.
Turn around, crazy one-handers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been happening. It's almost like he's relying on Woody to make these great catches. But I will say, on the one he dropped, again, eventually he's not going to make a circuit catch and catch it. But on that last one on fourth down, Woody knows he's got to make that catch, period. Miller had a bunch of bad throws in that game, without a doubt. All right, listen, man, we got a ton of people piling up. We got a ton of people. Yeah.
Can Braylon Shelby get heat on anything anytime soon?
He was in the hold on. He
had a nice
didn't get home
tonight.
Yeah, he actually played well. He had a tackle for loss, and he was getting some pressure. But I agree with you. It seems like SC can get pressure. Late in the game, you had Jamil Muhammad had a chance to make a play, settled down, and he just overran the play, allowed the quarterback to step up and make a play on third down. Those are the things I'm talking about. That's what you can't do. You got to do your job. You can't try to go for the kill shot. You just got to settle down, play within yourself. Break down and make that tackle, or at the very least, make him, throw off his back foot. That was a bad call there. Totally agree. Pass rush has been an issue, without a doubt. Thank you, man. Appreciate calling in. We're just stacking up with calls. The bad night, man. Appreciate you calling in. Fight on.